I was coming back from Phoenix, driving.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until we were on the road. But Interstate 11.
Yes, they just opened that.
I was on it when they just opened it.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
they
that right?
Yeah,
like Thursday or something.
Yes, exactly. As far as we could tell, I believe the gates just opened before we got there, because the other direction wasn't even open yet. They were still clearing it, and because they had a parade and a whole ribbon cutting. But we literally were there right then as they let people through. And it's wonderful.
Yeah, great.
It's wonderful. Now, I believe it's arguable, but I believe coming in from Phoenix using Interstate 11 is longer by minutes in the time it takes to get to the same spot. However, it's a pleasure, and there is no stoppage. I thought as we were watching it happen and going down 11 and beautiful asphalt, and we thought, oh, okay, I see where it's going to stop, and it's usually at that bottleneck, where the casino is, where the hotel casino.
Yeah.
And it isn't. It just kind of just slowly curves around. You're now parallel to the road that you can go into the hotel casino there, and then you just continue right into town.
Nice.
It really is fantastic.
Yeah. Now according to NDOT, right, Nevada Department of Transportation, is supposed to save 30 minutes. Not going to Phoenix, but going down to because you can bypass Boulder City.
Yes, and you bypass all that stuff. I mean, Boulder City is this little hole in the wall speed trap anyway.
Yeah.
I don't understand. However, there is a special exit for the hotel casino there, the Hacienda. Yes. But I don't understand. Everybody tells me that Boulder and Boulder City are thrilled this is happening. But I don't understand that, because why would the infrastructure be thrilled that they're diverting people away?
Yeah,
now,
Norman Bates wasn't happy when they moved it, right? I mean,
right, exactly.
They opened the highway and they went his business.
Yeah, I don't know why everybody's happy about this. We're happy as residents of Las Vegas, as that we can bypass all that crap.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wonderful when we were able to bypass going, serpentining down into and then back out of the Hoover Dam area.
Yeah.
Although that was pretty cool,
Yeah.
But now the whole thing is bypassed. You come from Phoenix, go right around everything, and you pop right onto the freeway. I mean, you get on the 11, and before you know it, you're on the 215. I mean, it was amazing.
Wow.
But I had never experienced a new road in that fashion. You're always, they fix the potholes, or they make a new road, or this god awful, freeway extension they're doing here. But I've never been on a road where now you can use it.
And you're wondering, do I need to turn back? Is this road lead anywhere?
Right, exactly.
Is it just going to end, and that there's going to be a cliff? I'm going to go off? Well, maybe the residents who live there are happy not to have the congestion.
Yeah.
But the businesses that rely on tourist trade,
right,
or rely on the gas stations, little restaurants, whatever. Maybe they're saying, maybe it'll be a while till they feel the pinch.
Right. But John, it's episode 75. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
25 more to 100. For those of you who have tuned in and downloaded and streamed or whatever you're doing, stay tuned to the end. We might have a little bit of a teaser for what's coming up on episode 100 for John and myself, and hopefully Julia. But also another little tease for our the newest in the Pod Bay Door Network. It is the Invisible Maybe. It is. I invite you to go to iTunes or theinvisiblemaybe.com, and you will hear sort of a new teaser trailer for that. That'll sort of explain what it is. But if you love foods and vegan living and politics and movies and culture and travel, tech and gadgets, and things that work and things that don't, definitely check us out. I'll have more information in the coming weeks. We're producing that now, but go to theinvisiblemaybe.com, and you will see a little bit of a teaser trailer. So today we're going to talk about a couple of news items that I saw and that John and I, there's a lot of bad stuff here. If you look at the news, like we have, like everybody else in the city, we have everything is always now. Fox Now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and you know they
breaking news. Yes,
right.
and I always look at it.
Right.
And the thing that really pisses me off about at least the local news is very often what they spend their time on is complete and utter shit. And if you read the crawl down below, it's like, wait a minute, really? You know, Saudi Arabia just killed 50 kids in Yemen because they bombed a school bus.
Right.
I want to hear about that.
Yeah.
You know, and granted, it's not local news, but to me, that's international. It's important because it was probably, in fact, I don't think probably it was. It was, you know, it was military equipment they got from us.
Sure.
So I want to know about that. No. We don't hear about that. We hear about, you know, it's National Taco Day.
Yeah. The screw holes in license plates don't quite fit.
Yes.
You know, it's just amazing. No, you're absolutely right. But there was each of these news stories sort of spawned a question that I'll pose to you, John. I entitled this "Ghosted Hotel." And I don't mean ghosts in the hotel. I mean ghosted, like it disappeared. There was a news story, and these are very recent, within the last day, that there was a hotel very close to, but not on Las Vegas Boulevard, very close to, that went out of business just overnight. And however, they didn't pull or disengage any of their advertising or bookings, and they didn't do anything. And it was owned by a corporate company, Red Line Hoteliers. And when contacted, they basically said it's the owner's responsibility.
Well, aren't they the owners?
I don't know. It's an interesting thing for a corporation to say, but I don't know if it was franchised or not. But the America's Best Value Inn. Over off of Las Vegas Boulevard near Coco's. And there's a reason I say that. It decided to go out of business, and people were still flying in. We're going to stay there. Well, the poor people, of course, stay. You know, they come. I don't know if that was their first visit. I'm not going to over dramatize this. It could have been their first visit, but if it wasn't, whatever. But
honeymoon trip, whatever.
Yeah, honeymoon trip. This was their big trip. But either way, they came. It's boarded up. Has chain link fence around it, and Coco's is right in front of it. Of course, Coco's not affiliated; it just happened to be there. And so these poor people went to Coco's and said, "Where do we check in?" Well, you know, I have to hand it to Coco's there. Coco's is a diner, basically. And the general manager there, I'm sure with the approval of either the franchise owner or the corporate company there, they said, we're going to help these folks out. We're going to let them use the Wi-Fi. We're going to let them use the phones. You know, we'll spot them a cup of coffee, and we'll give them a place to be while they're dealing with this, because it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible. And so good on Coco's. I mean, you know, most people would just say, well, too bad, so sad. But
and I'm sure there could have been some people out there biting their heads off, blaming them for it.
Exactly.
Like, well, you're right next door.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to do about it? Yeah, because we put up with that at the Venetian.
Oh, we did.
You know.
Yeah. You know, but for an entire business to just go out of business like that, very rare for Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, Vegas has the city elders and the infrastructure and everything else. That doesn't happen. So it's bad. So it brought up a question. What is, in your memory, John and I are very fortunate. We travel extensively. Or have, and internationally. What was the worst travel stay you had, and why?
Well, I guess I remember on a trip I took to Malaysia. Malaysia, I was on Penang Island, which Georgetown is the capital of Penang, which is northern Malaysia. Right, it's not too far from the southern part of Thailand. So I'd gotten over there by minibus. They weren't very welcoming in Malaysia. The first thing you see when you cross the border there is a big billboard. We have "Welcome to Las Vegas." Theirs was a hangman's noose, and it just says, "Be forewarned: death under Malaysian law for drug trafficking," which I came to understand to mean possession.
Oh,
yeah. So, and then you're coming in from Thailand. And what we didn't know at the time, coming across in this minibus, was that the border was about to close. It was getting down to 5 o'clock. Well, the driver knew this. The barefoot Thai driver knew that. And he didn't tell any of us, which is why he was going really fast as he approaches the border. And the border guards see that, thinking he's going to make a run for it. for some reason. And out come the machine guns.
Right.
So they're pointing the machine guns at us, and he explains to them, I guess, what the issue was. They let us through, whatever. So I stayed in this place. It was a Chinese. Malaysia is very interesting culturally because you have the mix of the native Muslims. I mean, you also have a lot of Chinese, and you have quite a few Indians as well. So I was staying in a flop house owned by Chinese. And there were all kinds of messages written.
How old were you?
I was 26.
Okay. All right, that's better. I can't have you in a flop house at 40, John.
Yeah. So anyhow, so I'm there in this dump, and there were notes written by previous travelers and stayers. There were warnings written on the table and on the wall and everything. Careful, there's holes in the wall because it was wood and there was knots in it, and they saw eyeballs peering it. Women would write this, so they filled up the holes with toothpaste. So you can look around there and you can spot it, just like putty, in the wall. Oh Jesus, look at that. So there's all kinds of notes like warning. They come in your room and they steal things or whatever. So anyhow, okay, I got to be careful, and everything. So I get into bed at night, and while I'm sleeping, the bed collapses. It just falls apart because it was an old-fashioned bed that had the box spring on top of wooden slats, and it was those wooden slats that were just rotten and gave away. So boom, it collapses. So I'm kind of at an angle, like being on one of those decline bench presses. And I'm there, and I just say, "Oh fuck it," because I've been drinking and I don't feel like getting up and trying to fix this bed, which is broken anyway. So anyhow, I stayed in that bed for 3 days.
Wow, that scene, that scene in Apocalypse Now, where it's a slow. He's staring at the ceiling fan. I don't. It was Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
And he's in that room,
Yeah.
and it's maybe 6x6 room.
Yes.
And an old cot, and he's staring at the ceiling fan,
Yes.
probably contemplating why he's there.
Why he's there. Yes,
That's exactly what you just described.
Yeah.
However, I have to say to all the people that came and complained to us for whatever minute, ridiculous reason, listen to the story John just told. Okay? Your pillow isn't comfortable enough.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Suck it up, people.
Yeah.
Well, my worst one, by no means as bad. I had 2 travel experiences that come to mind when people ask me that. My most recent one was in Naples, and it wasn't as far as it regards the hotel stays, which actually were quite nice. I stayed in Venice and I stayed in Rome and traveled to Naples. What people don't know about Naples, and I will tell them this all the time, every day, twice on Sundays. It is literally the home of the mob. The Italian mob is there now, and it is a den city pit of thieves. And when you're there, unfortunately, Pompeii, that's how to get to Pompeii and look at the ruins of Pompeii. Fantastic place to visit as far as the Pompeii ruins, but Naples, you literally feel like you're in a desert. You have no water, you're dying, and the buzzards are circling over you, waiting to steal something from you. I mean, you feel them, and you see them. You see them watching you get on these local trains, which are just awful. And so it was just a horrendous experience. I'm not a small guy. I was with a guy that was even bigger than myself, and we both were had our heads on a swivel. It was a horrible feeling. So Naples, you're awful. You're awful people. No, just the people that are part of the mob there. But, and I'm going to get a lot of calls. And in fact, I think Fred, our friend Fred, probably has ancestors in Naples. But my worst one, where it had to do with a hotel stay, was my honeymoon in Florida. We booked a hotel. I don't even remember what it was. It's probably closed or burned down. But everything was booked and so on and so forth. And it was in Key West, which is a great place to go. When we got there, we checked in. Everything seemed to be normal, and it was a single level outside access hotel. Well, the door didn't have a lock, and there were palmetto bugs and cockroaches the size of your head. There was no comforter on the bed. It was just a sheet, and no AC.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. And so I'm a pretty easy traveler. but I need the door to lock. I need a bathroom, and I need the bed to be complete. And obviously no bugs or creatures, while I'm sleeping. And so we went to the front desk and said, "Here's all these problems." And the bugs were, by the way, alive and dead. So there was a mixture and some were eating the other bugs, and it was horrible. So we went to the front desk. They had no solution. Well, we don't have comforters because it's so hot here. Okay. Well, we were going to install that lock probably in the next couple of days.
Oh, that's nice. That's
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
And the bugs are normal. We'll come and get those later. So, needless to say, the bag we never broke the seal on the bag, and we got in the car and good on Holiday Inn, because we went to Holiday Inn, and they told them the story, and they saw the desperation in our eyes, and they actually gave us a lovely upgraded room over the water. It was very nice. So thank you, Holiday Inn. What was it? 27 years ago this happened, but I still count that as the number one worst travel thing.
Yeah, that's terrible. And for that to happen, I mean, here, I mean, you kind of expect that.
Oh yeah. But Cosmopolitan, I have a lot of friends at Cosmo.
Yeah.
John and I.
It's a nice place.
Yeah, it's a nice place. The parking blows, but parking blows everywhere. They do charge for parking. Bad on Cosmo. Bad Cosmo.
Yeah.
But they're just following suit. Plus, they're dead center, so they can make some revenue there. They're also attached to
you can go to Vidara, right? I mean, Vidara doesn't have. I mean, it's all valet parking, so you're going to pay anyway. You may as well give it to the valet guys.
Yeah. But Cosmo, a lot of people don't know about Cosmo, is they also have this strange relationship and back of the house alleyway entrance to Jockey Club, which is just this half-assed a timeshare that my family, my wife's family, has been involved in for many years. Well, Jockey Club refused to cooperate and contribute to all the new infrastructure. So Cosmo was like, here's a finger for you, and we'll give you this smelly alley laundry room exit and entrance.
And when we worked at the Venetian, there were 3 cases of Legionnaire's disease at the Jockey Club. They didn't want people to know that.
Yes.
But that usually comes from, basically dirty air conditioning filters.
So don't change. Like half Scrotto at the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, right.
But Cosmo's a great place. Lots of fun to go. A little pricey. Great clubs.
Yeah.
I was recently there.
The buffet there is good too.
Buffet's
good.
Got
to wait in line though.
Well, yeah.
So if you're local, I think the M is.
We almost had to wait in line to get into the studio, John. So I mean, But I was recently, lines, absolutely lines. Speaking of lines, I was going there for I had a commercial shoot there, and I had forgotten what the dregs of humanity they come out during pool season.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at Cosmo, for their pool, they have to have the people in the hotel, in the casino and restaurant area, before they go out into the pool area, and they have to check in. And it's just the humanity that comes in, and I was actually very close to the line, and hearing all the stories of the VIPs. The girls with the big boobies, and telling the guys, well, here's why I should get in. I don't have any advanced reservations. I'm not going to give you a tip, but I'm hot, and you should let me in. Which they probably got in.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy, don't even try it.
No.
Yeah. You need to strip out $100 and hope you can get in. But back to the Cosmo. Cosmo is opening something relatively new as far as a concept. I wouldn't say it's the ultimately new, but they're opening up, John, a block of restaurants all at one time. And the Cosmo owns the space, but they're inviting all these restaurants in to open at this one time. What's opening very soon, August 30th, I believe. It's called Block 16 Urban Food Hall. Yeah. And
now, are these regular restaurants are going to be more fast food?
Counter service. They're called counter service. And I'm using the term actually from I've been doing a lot of research on Disney World because that's what they refer to it as. They table service, counter service, snacks. This is going to be a counter service, meaning that you go up You can go up and get it at the counter. I believe they're going to have a smattering of table service, but it's going to be very small. They're sort of like little holes in the wall. Here's the list of restaurants currently. Hattie B's Hot Chicken, which is a Louisiana-style hot chicken.
Hot chicks or hot chicken?
Hot chicken,
okay.
Chicken, yes, birds.
Okay.
New Orleans-style, spicy.
Nice.
I find it very interesting because they also have the Blue Ribbon restaurant, which is known for their chicken. Very interesting, yeah.
Dueling chickens there.
Yeah, so apparently they didn't have the contract. No other chicken place. But Hattie B's Hot Chicken, I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit more high end than a Popeyes.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Although I don't have a problem with Popeyes.
I've never dined. They had their conference once at Venetian. I remember that.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Yes, they did. And of course, you can see Floyd Mayweather there over at Popeyes.
Yeah,
here in Vegas. Lardo, I know nothing about Lardo.
Doesn't sound good.
Yeah, Lardo, right? Pak Pak Wing. I don't know that one.
Sounds
either.
Chicken also.
Yes. Well, it's Vietnamese.
Vietnamese,
yeah. The Tekka Bar hand rolls and sake.
Yeah.
It's
Japanese.
Japanese. Yeah. Now this one's an interesting title. Their marketing must be very strange. District : Donuts Sliders Brew . That's their title. Yeah, that's an expensive neon sign right there. But District, Donuts, Sliders, Brew. So donuts, sliders, and beer.
Yeah, I kind of don't think that beer and donuts go together. I mean, that's kind of not my preferred junk food pairing.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Now, I had a friend that used in college, Big B, beer floats. Couldn't get enough of them.
Really?
Beer floats.
No.
It's disgusting.
Now, I saw they had a Mr. Donut chain in Japan, which apparently they said was from the East Coast. I've never seen one. I've been to Boston. I see a lot of Dunkin' Donuts. I never saw a Mr. Donut. But they had them all throughout Japan. And they had a huge one in Shinjuku section of Tokyo. And it was a 2-story donut shop. And people would say, well, where would you take people if they come from America to Japan? One place I said, I take them to see Mr. Donut, just because they've never seen a donut shop like this one.
Yeah.
The second floor was donuts. I mean, it was regular donuts. It was really gussied up. Then there was a spiral staircase that went downstairs. And in between the spiral staircase was like a merry-go-round horse that kept going up and down. You couldn't ride it, but anyhow, it was there. But downstairs was a bar.
Okay.
It was a full bar.
Yeah.
So you could there get donuts and then go downstairs and have, a beer, scotch and water, whatever it is you want, sake. Like I said, I wouldn't do that. It's either one or the other. Yeah. But hey.
I mean, I can sake, I'm not, as I've said before many times, I'm not a drinker at all. I don't drink. Yeah. But sake, the smell of sake truly smells like kerosene.
Oh, it is. I mean, I drank stuff that in Japan that I said, son of a bitch, this is going to my kerosene heater next time, because it was cheap.
Exactly.
You can get cheap sake, and it is. It's like one grade above like gasoline.
Yeah, like Everclear.
And the worst hangover ever.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I used to get hangovers before I even went to sleep on some of that cheap sake. I used to buy it in a milk carton.
Oh, my God.
They would sell it by the quart for like, equivalent of like $2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, never again.
The pairing of alcohol and sweets, I always found it can work.
Yeah.
But it also can't work. Beer floats.
If you really have that desire, just drink Southern Comfort. You get both. You get the sweetness and you get that, and then you'll get the nice package of hangover in the morning.
Yeah, and the immediate DTs.
Yeah.
Okay, so District, Donuts, Sliders, and Brew. We're Cosmo, the Block 16 Urban Foods. Ghost Donkey. This is a New York
that's
firm.
Interesting.
Ghost Donkey. It is a mezcal tequila bar.
Oh.
Yeah. In all of my travels, and I've spent
mescaline or mezcal.
Mezcal.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, all right.
The mescaline is probably more for Caesars.
Yeah.
But the mezcal, I've never seen a mezcal bar, and I've traveled. I have unfortunately traveled the lengths and breadths of Mexico.
Yeah.
I've never seen one that is dedicated to mezcal. So Ghost Donkey, very interesting. And from what I understand, or what I can tell from the overhead map of the Cosmo Block 16 Urban Food Hall, is they have a couple 3 spaces left. So there's gonna leave room for expansion. But brought up the question. Not necessarily in Las Vegas, but it'd be great if you could think of one in Las Vegas. What was your best and worst dining? Let's do best. What was your best dining experience ever? Now, keeping in mind, folks, that I am currently vegan, vegetarian, whatever the hell the definition is nowadays, and John is a veteran.
Yeah. Although I do eat seafood on occasion.
Yes,
so
as do I.
Okay, yes.
I like a good salmon.
So yes, and speaking of good salmon, one of the best I ever had was at Postrio. Now, part of it was I didn't have to pay for it.
Wolfgang
it was
Puck, yeah.
Wolfgang Puck.
Nothing better than free food.
Nothing better than free food. But I will say, of the restaurateurs in the Venetian when we worked there, Wolfgang Puck was always very gracious towards us. I mean, the fact that we got a free dinner at Postrio, which a lot of the other places didn't. Every now and then they'd send something down, a pizza or something like that.
Right.
And it's not that we'll pay them back with you need to go here. Maybe they'll give us some more free stuff. Is that we actually got to taste and say, hey, this is really good.
Yeah.
And I remember this. My only complaint about the salmon that they served there was it was so good. They served it in a parchment paper that you tore open. It was so good, it just set the bar too high. And every time I have it, I say, "Wow, this is really good salmon," but it doesn't beat Postrio's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be right near the top.
I have to go to Vegas for my best in memory. Again, we've John and I have had wonderful opportunities being concierge, and then continuing on past that. But I have good friends, and yes, it was complimentary as well. But Bouchon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Also in the Venetian.
Yes.
In the Venetian, John.
Wow.
I'm going with the best of the Venetian. But Bouchon also has bakery. Bouchon has the Bouchon Bakery in New York and Rockefeller Center. French Laundry, Chef Thomas Keller.
Yes, Thomas Keller.
Great guy.
Northern California.
Yeah, Northern California.
Yountville.
Fantastic guy. I work a lot for the Bouchon restaurant, and of all the celebrity chefs that I have met, which I have met quite a few, Chef Keller over there at Bouchon, he gracious is a good word.
Yeah.
Gracious and very accommodating, amenable to anything going on. And one of the things that I do for them biannually, he does a VIP dinner service. He also does a holiday service. And I'm always amazed by the number of people that want his autograph and pictures with him, and he is always so nice about it, and they just lines and lines of people, and he'll stand there and be just a buddy with them. But Bouchon, I had soup to nuts meal there one time, and it was they have amazing cheese boards and curated meats and charcuterie. And it just as an opener, that was fantastic. But I had the lamb shanks. I had a tasting of the ossobuco, and it's a light French, but they traveled out, and got different Italian meals as well. But I had escargot, sweetbreads. It was just all masterfully prepared. The sauces, I like the sauces in French cuisine. This was back before I disavowed meat. And then of course the desserts are a year's worth of calories, but well worth it for that evening. And service was impeccable, just enough. They weren't on you, and you didn't have to find them. They had that sweet spot of coming back. It was so that was my best. Now worst. What was your worst? Now, worst, we've all had bad McDonald's and Arby's and Taco Bell's, and that's not restaurants to me. When you sit down and enjoy a meal, it's being prepared and you're being served it. What was your worst?
Well, when I was a kid, by kid I mean I was like 12. We took a family vacation, and I remember we stopped off at Lake Charles, Louisiana, on the way somewhere. We just gone through New Orleans. Yeah. And there was a diner. My dad always thought, it's a diner, it's home-cooked food. Well, yeah, it could be. And it could be just complete, utter shit, right? Mm-hmm. So we go in this place, and they have the women there who were back then they called them waitresses. Mm-hmm. And they're sitting around playing cards. We're the only customers in the place. So the chef, or the cook, I should say, comes out of the kitchen there, and she looks over at us, and then she looks at the waitresses sitting there playing cards, and the waitress has stringy hair and a cigarette dangling out of her mouth. Remember back then there was no smoking laws.
Right.
And she yells at him. She says, "Eloise, go serve these here people." And Eloise just slowly turns with that cigarette hanging out of her mouth. And goes, "I will after this hand's over." So she finished playing cards and came over and then just said, "What y'all want?"
Wow.
And with the cigarette there and the ashes flinging on there, and the food was every bit as bad as the service, as it turned out. That's one that again, I can remember. Can't tell you the name of the place. It was just way too long ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure one of the hurricanes that have passed through there. One of the positive effects of climate change will be maybe put that place out of business. So.
Right. Gosh, I got to thinking about it. And as I was writing some notes for this show, and there was a restaurant, and I cannot remember its name, but it's in Las Vegas. I don't believe it's still here anymore. And it was an Italian restaurant, a basic Italian restaurant. Chicken parm, lasagna, spaghetti, and so on and so forth. Olive Garden, but privately.
Yeah,
owned.
American, Italian food.
So I don't know if they were struggling and wanted to try a new concept, or if they just wanted to try a new concept, but they decided to 2 nights a week turn it into a different restaurant. And in this case, it was a churrascaria, which is a Brazilian restaurant known for meat. And we have one here that is outstanding. I always want to go there on my birthday. It's hard now, but it's Texas de Brazil, or Tejas de Brazil.
Yeah.
And it's the type of restaurant where it's Rhodesian, and they bring around, you turn your little button over to green, and they come around with the meat, and they slice the meat, and they give you the meat. And they have this brilliant salad bar and wonderful sides. It's a wonderful meal. It's over Town Square, just down the street from Mandalay Bay on Las Vegas Boulevard. Well, this little restaurant tried to do that, and I already knew I was not going to like it because I'm not a huge fan of Groupon. I think it's kind of scammy. You never get a good deal to me, and they lock you in. Once you buy it, you're screwed.
Well, the thing that gets me is the way they harass me. I get Groupon emails almost like 3 or 4 a day at least, and I don't even look at them. I just delete them. Yeah.
So we went to this restaurant, and I'm going to skip to the end first. They were so nice. I've never had, the service was awful.
Yeah.
The food was just short of ptomaine. I mean, it was just awful. And it was poorly cooked, poorly presented, poorly served. They put on like inflatable decorations trying to make this look, like the real ones. And yet they were so nice.
Yeah.
They weren't rude. Bad. They were, and I told them at the end, I said, we stopped. We couldn't do it anymore. We said, no, this is really bad, and we have to have our money back. And then they gave us our money back. But that really was the worst. And I'd never had something so universally, globally bad. And yet I walked out not wanting to light the place on fire.
Yeah.
Because they were so nice.
Yeah.
They were, and they were just, and you could tell they were just desperately trying to try a new concept or to bolster their table settings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I've been to a lot of really great restaurants in other countries. It was kind of surprising. So I've been to some fantastic Italian restaurants in Manila. Now they're owned by Italians. They just expats, whatever. And what's nice there is that the restaurants are expensive by Philippine standards, but they're not expensive by our standards by any stretch. Right. So you basically get a really high-end Italian dinner and pay an Olive Garden price, basically. So Moroccan food, which was outstanding. I hadn't had it before. I knew someone who lived when I was in Dubai, and I knew someone who lived there. Goes, I'll take you to this Moroccan restaurant. All right, and that was great. And Indian food in Japan. Again, it was they're not Japanese chefs there.
Yeah.
It's owned. In fact, this case, the chef was actually from Pakistan. But I did have an Indian national one time. He goes, yeah, well, they're great chefs there in Pakistan.
Wow.
So
Best Chinese restaurant I've ever been to was in a little back alley area in right behind the Trevi Fountain in Rome. Best Chinese restaurant I've ever seen in my life and had in my life. We went on the trip to Rome. We went there 3 times.
wow.
Yeah, and they had the if anybody who's ever been to a Japanese restaurant, they have a small hot sake. They give you a little tiny pitcher, and then the sake glass, and it was like $1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what you find. I mean,
Yeah.
the home of Italian cuisine, and I mean in an Italian restaurant behind the Trevi Fountain.
Yeah. And when I was in China, it dawned on me. See, they don't have Chinese restaurants in China. They just have restaurants because they're all Chinese restaurants, right?
You know what they call Brazil nut in Brazil, John?
Yeah. So and the food there was fabulous. I thought in a lot of these places, but it was different. I mean, it wasn't like we think of when you think of Chinese food.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, what do you have? I said, well, I don't know. It was vegetables and some kind of a sauce on it, or it was just steamed rice and something else and some fish. But it was just really, really good. And there's so many restaurants that they have there. I was with a colleague in Beijing who is Chinese. She's from Beijing, and we were in a restaurant. And they gave the menus out. Well, the menus were only in Chinese. But, hey, I could read Japanese. And the kanji is very similar. They pronounce it differently. Mm-hmm. But I can look at a menu, as I learned in Japan, and I can't read everything. But I know enough to say, well, that's vegetables, and that's fish, and that's meat. And then I can kind of guess at what kind of fish it is, whether it's a shellfish or another kind. And maybe I need a little help other than that. But at least it gets me on the right road.
Right.
I know if I order something there or I point to it, I kind of have an idea what's coming. But one of the dish I don't know what that is. So I asked my colleague, I said, I don't know what this is. She goes, oh, you don't want that. Well, but what is it? Well, that's donkey. Oh. And I thought, donkey? I mean, I hadn't even thought about it. They had donkeys in China, right? I mean, of course they do. Donkeys everywhere. But I didn't expect it. I said, people really eat donkey? Yeah. She said, no, they don't. But this restaurant, not really. Not most people don't eat donkey. Right. But they put it on their menu so they stand out to other restaurants. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the restaurant that serves donkey. Well, nobody really orders it, but nevertheless they serve it because to the Chinese there, they find that as kind of as repulsive of the idea. And who knows? Maybe donkey tastes good, but there's a prejudice against it because you haven't had it, right?
Well, Italy in general, but specific pockets of it, they specialize in horse.
Yeah. In Japan too. Yeah. That's a delicacy to eat horse meat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I meat aside, I just couldn't.
And I tasted it when I was in Japan.
Really?
raw horse meat.
Oh wow. Horse tartar.
Yeah. And I tasted it. I guess I have a chance to taste it. I used to give it to my dog. And I tasted it. Well, it tastes like roast beef. That's what my memory of it was. All those years. Geez, this tastes like. And everything else tastes like chicken.
It does. Even rattlesnake. I've had it tastes like greasy chicken.
Then I would just say then just eat chicken. Right?
Yeah. But John, we're coming back to Vegas for a big I told you so.
Yeah.
Not you, but I told everybody. We reported on the last show, I believe, that the third quarter was going to be expectedly bad in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And then the fourth, they were shuddering in their boots to think what was going to happen. Well, it was. Yeah, third quarter was horrendous. And now on Vegas standards, anytime Vegas goes downward in a pattern, everybody worries. Wall Street, gets involved.
Oh, those pricks.
Yeah, and things change, and no longer there's a, and used to be it's like it was a blip. It's not a blip anymore because Wall Street got involved. They're like, wait a minute, markets adjusted. The Nikkei adjusted. I mean, things adjusted when the third quarter numbers were spit out there. And the majors, MGM Resorts International, Caesars and Harrah's, and the Boyd Group, of course, which is local to us here, but they're a powerhouse. They're all kind of, they just... they don't want to admit it. They don't want to come. They especially don't want to be on camera. But there's rumblings, and there is a thing in Las Vegas called the RevPAR, which is revenue per available room, and that is not a gaming an issue. It's not a gaming issue. It's strictly how much people are spending to within for each room.
Yeah.
And gaming is a whole separate calculation. It's down 4%. That's big. That's a big deal for Las Vegas. And however, John and I were talking about this in the pre-show. The reaction, Wall Street, of course, numbers go down. Stock prices go down. It's a typical reaction of Wall Street and the markets. S&P, went down. However, the reaction front line is laughable. Because and I'm gonna steal John's line. What they've done in reaction to this sluggish, if not negative third quarter, is to lower the room rates. And John, well, I'm gonna let you say what your reaction was.
Well, they're turning it into every other city in the world.
Every other city in the world.
Yes. And that's so what Las Vegas wasn't.
Yes.
Las Vegas was the rooms were cheap. They gave away rooms, they gave away food, and then you spent your money, a lot of money, on other things, on games, on shows, or whatever, and you went out and you partied and you had fun.
Mm-hmm.
That started to change, really, when you think about the Venetian, because the room was comfortable, and the idea was those were for conventioneers.
Right.
And we saw that too. People were pissed off that they couldn't watch The Sopranos in their room, because the Venetian is a 5-star hotel, doesn't have HBO. Well, neither does the Bellagio either.
Right.
But people were surprised by that. They expected that. Well, no, of course they don't. Because if you're watching The Sopranos in your room, you're not out spending money. So that was kind of like where they planted that seed, but now, yes, they're trying to become everybody else, where the room rates are kind of high. They charge for parking, they nickel and dime you, and every chance they have to ream you, will do it.
Yeah, and back in the day, we're talking 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We accepted Las Vegas's attempts to keep you gambling in each house. They would keep it a little chilly so you keep awake. They would make all these lovely smells and fragrances that would entice you to do one thing or another if you believe in aromatherapy. They would make the hallways very difficult. The signage is just enough, just in case there's a fire you need to get out. Otherwise, you're lost in the casino. They put machines everywhere. They put tables everywhere. They make it very easy to spend money, and we were okay with that because that's the game. They're a business. They need to make money, and they need to make money to pay our taxes because we don't pay state taxes. Well, now and all the extras for free, the drinks and the buffet, lost leaders, and the parking, and so on and so forth. Now they've taken all that away. It's no longer a deal, and that's what the people today are wanting. What's the first thing you would do? What's the first thing? I
think what we need is a human sacrifice, and I think honestly, I'll take them out to the desert, either or both. Adelson and Steve Wynn, the ones who started this latest incarnation, and sacrifice them and hope for good fortune. But no, it would be, again, to make Las Vegas a reason to come here, not just any other city.
Yeah.
There are many reasons to go to New York, and other places, in San Francisco. Las Vegas, it was that, it was a party town.
Yeah.
It was a festival of fools like they had in the Middle Ages, but year round. And you can come here for the weekend, and what happens here stays here, whatever, and spend all your money having a good time.
Right.
And it's gotten away from that.
It has. And I think that if you can't speak, if the bean counters can't speak on the revenue and the positive aspects of what they've done, they can absolutely speak on the negative response that it's had, parking and drinks and everything else. All of that has been to increase revenue, and they say that it has increased revenue. But one thing that can be logged in are the number of complaints that are happening.
Yeah.
Social media, all of the content streams, they're all complaining about it one way or another. I mean, if you look at TripAdvisor, which I actually do, when I travel to talk, to hear what is the banter, what is the talk about it. Everybody's talking about this, so there has been a documented social media negative response to all this that has to be paid attention to.
Yeah. They don't seem to understand the psychology of the consumer. Yeah, you can go ahead and say, well, we dropped the room rates. It's $99. That's great. But when you tack on a even $20 resort fee, and it's usually higher than that, that's what pisses people off. Just charge them $120. You'll be happy. That's still a good rate. But you say, wait a minute, you're being sneaky. Mm-hmm. You're adding something on. What's this resort fee? Well, that's for using it. I don't want to use those facilities. Right. I'm not using those. I feel like I'm getting ripped off here.
Yeah.
That you're being dishonest, and that's what they don't like. They don't like that dishonesty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to, with my, disdain for the general public, I'm not going to say that they're generally smart about travel or about anything else, but I will say that they know when they feel like they're getting ripped off. Even the dimmest person, has that feeling like, wow, I'm being taken advantage of. And that's what Las Vegas is doing. I absolutely agree with you, John. Okay. Well, so I told you so, but I don't want to. I don't want to be right about this. I think John and I and all the residents here, we want Vegas to be successful, and we're mad at them for doing this. Whether it's a preparatory response for the Raiders coming in, or the success of the Golden Knights, and we're starting to be a major market sports city. It doesn't matter. They're ruining what Vegas used to be.
Yeah, people used to come here to bet on football games in other places.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And because traveling on business, oftentimes coming in March Madness during the college basketball tournament, and even the Super Bowl, we will sell out. There are more people come to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl, even though it's not played here.
Yeah.
To gamble for the parties and
That's
everything.
right.
That was a reason to come here.
Yeah.
Well, if you play the game here now,
I know. Well, yeah. Even the America's Best Value Inn will sell out.
Yeah.
And that sort of cryptic deal that Las Vegas has brokered with the NBA for online gambling. I mean, I read the articles and I'm a relatively savvy person. I didn't understand a thing they were talking about. I didn't understand who's getting money and what has been approved and why. Because as far as I understood it, all these years I could have went and bet on basketball. I don't know what's been brokered.
Yeah, and something is missing there. Just the fact that when you go to the sports book and you bet on something, even if it's a horse racing, there's an excitement there. It's just fun to sit there in the group and watch it on TV or cheer or I won that race or I lost, or watch the games and have a couple beers or whatever, and you sit there and it's social.
Yeah.
And it's fun, even if you lost money.
Right.
There's always a chance that you won't, but whatever, you had a good time. I don't see that. I'm just going to lay it down a bet virtually and stay home.
Yeah. Yeah. So John, quick question on as we close out the I told you so there. What's the most you've ever spent on a hotel night? And include even if you're being paid for, because John and I both are sometimes get paid. Our rooms are taken care of.
I'd mentioned before that the most I ever paid on it for an airline ticket, was $10,000, which was San Francisco to Dubai round trip on Emirates Air, which was business class.
That's astounding.
But and again, it was bad management on that company's part that they decided at the height of their holiday season to have me go to Dubai on really 1 day's notice. They called me Wednesday after 5 p.m. Wednesday and asked if I could go Friday.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So I said, okay. And the company policy was any flight over 4 hours, you can go business class. Well, it's a 16-hour flight from San Francisco. I had to get San Francisco first. So
16 in the air.
16 in the air.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
16 in the air.
And 10,000, and basically, now, am I wrong here? Basically, so you can lay vertically.
Yeah.
Is that really the only plus?
Yeah, I mean it was pretty
Not
much
vertically,
yes,
horizontally.
Horizontally. And you get better, you get more champagne and more drinks and and that was it, because the economy was $2,000. And I said, well, if you give me $8,000, I'll sit in the back of the plane.
Okay.
But I'm arriving in Dubai, leaving Friday morning, and it's a 12-hour time difference. So, hey, I don't have to set my clock, right? My watch any differently. It's the same. It's just reversed.
It's right twice a day.
Right. And anyhow, by the time I get to the hotel, it's going to be 8 p.m. Or 8 or 9 p.m. Saturday night. And I have to work Sunday because the work week in the Middle East starts Sunday. It goes Sunday through Thursday. They're all Friday, Saturday. So I said, no, I'm not going to sit in the back of the plane unless you let me cash it in. I'm entitled to that, goddammit. I'm going to fly business class so I can at least have a minimum, a modicum amount of comfort before I have to start work. and have to deal with that for a week. So, okay, fine. That's company policy. So it was $10,000. And they always put me up in a nice hotel. So again, I don't remember what I paid there, but it was a lot more than I would have paid on my own.
I got to thinking about it, and this was actually a recent number, and it was for a Disney sponsored property, and it was over $600 for one night. Now all the rest of them were lower. I got boned on one of their big nights, but yeah, $6.
Ouch.
$6. Yeah. Yeah. I and that's well beyond what I would spend normally. My wife is a superlative travel shopper. I mean, she's obsessive until she gets every dollar that it's worth. But yeah, it was too much.
Yeah. Now it's interesting when I go to the Philippines, and in Manila I stay at nice hotels, or I had in the past.
Right.
And they're expensive by Philippine standards. By our standards, not so much. Maybe two bills, $200. But what I found was with Airbnb, it's that you get a lot of real estates are investing in condos and then renting them out. Basically, that's their business. And I stayed at a place within eyesight of one of these $200 places where I stayed before for $35. And it was bigger because it was a studio. I had basically a separate bedroom with behind a half wall. So technically it was a studio.
Right.
It had a little kitchen and it had, a shower, even had a washing machine. So for $35, and somebody meets you at the door. It's a secure building and everything. So, wow, the only thing that the hotel offered was in Manila, they often include breakfast, but breakfast service is until 10 a.m., which normally speaking is fine. But when you've been traveling and you know how it is, you arrive and it's midnight and you don't wake up till 9 the next morning, it's kind of hard to get down there at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So just like, wow, I just lost that. So that's why, I've changed now over to staying, Airbnb places when I'm in Manila.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right, John. So we had a great question. Yes. Chet from WordPress to round off the podcast here. I included this. This is actually an older question, but I included this kind of leads me into something. He said, "Seen any aliens lately?" And I'm assuming he means the green ones.
Yeah.
But yes, we have.
Oh.
In concert with London and Arizona, Las Vegas, in the last couple of days, have had UFO sightings.
Oh.
Yes, ours was specifically in Summerlin again, which I mean they're freaks out there anyway. So
higher elevation and must do something.
Yes. So yes, we had one out there, and it was I saw the video of it. It was this. If you've ever seen like the little starlings that move in these clouds of things, well, it was at night, and it looked like that, except they were like fireflies, but they were clearly larger than that. So there was no explanation as of yet, but it happened within the last 36 hours. Arizona had the same thing. Arizona also had an American Airlines flight. There's a conversation between the pilot and the tower. It was a 55-second recording that I found, and the pilot basically is saying, "Did you just see something fly over us?" And the tower was they weren't definitive, but they said, "Well, we saw something." So that was very interesting. And London had the little firefly things in one of their neighborhoods. So yes, Chet, we have had some alien sightings. Las Vegas, of course, has great history, with aliens.
Yes. Area 51 and what have you.
Well, we have aliens of all types.
Yeah, still one of the better Las Vegas movies was was it called Dave?
Dave, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and Paul.
I'm sorry, Paul. That's what I knew it was a common name.
Yeah, no, Paul. Sorry, Paul. Talking about Paul. No, and let's see, Mars Attacks.
Yeah,
Mars Attacks. They were in Vegas as well.
Yes.
They destroyed Vegas, didn't they?
Yeah, and what was it, Pahrump?
Pahrump.
Yes,
Pahrump. But no, we always have aliens flying around here. But as we conclude the show today, we are. This is episode 75. We are careening towards episode 100, which I'm thrilled about. John and I, John has been a fantastic co-host taking over, and the fact that we've are heading towards 100 is fantastic. I can't be more pleased, and the response to us has been surprising. and humbling for sure. But we are trying to do something special for our 100th. John and I will definitely be there. Julia will hopefully be there. Maybe a couple other people. But I'm just going to tease it because I can't guarantee it. But I think we might be able to do a remote for our podcast for our 100th somewhere in Nevada that is known for aliens.
Yes.
And serving food.
Yes.
But stick with us a few more. Check back with us for episode 100, and it'll be an alien special. And we'll try to make that fun and educational, and try to find some things that you guys don't know, and be in locations that some of you may never get to see. But thank you so much. This has been a fantastic time for us. And again, if you get a chance, go to The Invisible Maybe. That's our newest podcast on the Pod Bay Door Network. And you can check out the teaser trailer there. And if you like food and politics and tech and gadgets and all kind of stuff that affects us, those of us today, then I think you're going to like that. It's theinvisiblemaybe.com. John, thank you so much for being here. For John, this is Jamie, and we will see you next week. Thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Pod Bay Door on the Podbean app or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Pod Bay Door is closed and talent is out. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.